Hello YouTube, how is y'all's day going? Today we have another 2024 NFL mock draft with 4 trades once again. I worked really hard on this one. I would really appreciate it if you guys did something. Comment, like, subscribe. I've posted 3 times this week and I have not gained 1 subscriber. So if anybody's feeling generous, I would really appreciate it. But not much else. Let's get into it. So starting off, we have Caleb Williams at number 1. Obvious pick. Not going to explain it too much. Number 2, I think that Jaden Daniels at number 2 is just smoke. It's smoke and fire season, you know. I think it's like, I think 1 and 2 are obvious. I think people are just trying to make it, you know, complicated because they really like Jaden Daniels. But Drake May, Justin Herbert clone, really good pocket passer, underrated improviser, scrambler, very good arm talent, very accurate, very trustworthy. Number 3, we have Jaden Daniels. Yeah, not a big fan of Jaden Daniels. I'll say it every single mock because it's the truth. I don't like taking a quarterback where his main weakness is his passing. But, you know, here we are. So Jaden Daniels going to the Patriots at number 3. Number 4, I have Malik Nabers as my wide receiver 1. Marvin Harrison, once again, I think is a much better fit with the Cardinals. DeAndre Hopkins and Kyler Murray were a really good tandem. I think Kyler Murray played his best when he had someone who was a bigger body, reliable target to throw to. So I think for that reason, Marvin Harrison Jr. is probably ahead for the Cardinals instead of Malik Nabers. And then number 5, we have the traditional trade that's been happening a lot, which this will probably be the last time that I mock this because I really doubt that the Vikings move up. I think they're just going to select at 11 and 23, but we'll see. We'll see. Again, smoke and fire season. So we have our first trade. That is going to be the Vikings moving up to pick 5 from the Chargers. So the Vikings trade pick 11, pick 23, and a 2024 5th, which ends up being pick 157. And the Chargers trade pick 5, 2024 4th, pick 110, and a 2025 6. So basically, the Vikings traded the 5th and get to move up to pick 110. You know, when you really think about it, getting 2 first-round picks in exchange to only move up 6 spots, it's honestly a really good deal. So I had to put a little bit more in there that the Chargers had to give because it's just, it is a lot for 11 and 23 for pick 5. Getting 2 first-round picks in the same draft, being able to build off of those, it's really nice. So if the Vikings are trading up, they need to get a little bit more in return than just pick 5. So they move up and they grab JJ McCarthy. I'm not a fan of JJ McCarthy. I think he's a second-round quarterback, very much so. Didn't have the snaps at Michigan for passing. When he did, he showed a lack of good decision making. He stares down his first read, which is my biggest thing when it comes to quarterbacks. The first thing that I always look for, and this is why I like Caleb Williams and Drake May, the first thing I always look for when it comes to quarterbacks is, do they go through their progressions? If they go through their progressions and they're not just staring down one wide receiver and waiting for him to get open, waiting for, I'm sacked, or I got to run out of the pocket, it translates really well to the NFL. That's why CJ Stroud was my QB1 last year, even though there was a ton of heat for, no, what are you talking about, Bryce Young? And JJ McCarthy stares that first read down, and I really do not like that. Number 6, the New York Giants select Malik Nabers. Yeah, I feel like it's pretty obvious. Get somebody who's a really good separator. Get someone who's an elite route runner. Just somebody that is very reliable to get open. I'm huge on Malik Nabers. I love Malik Nabers to death. He's one of my favorite prospects I've ever watched. Absolutely love him. 7, Joe Alt going to Tennessee Titans. I switched it up last mock draft. I had them going Brock Bowers, so we're returning back to Joe Alt because I think it makes a lot of sense. Maybe next mock draft we'll have him go wide receiver. That could definitely happen. It could happen. 8, the Falcons. I switched it up. I've been going edge rusher, I think, the entire time. So we go Roma Dunze. In all reality, I think that there's no way that we don't take an edge rusher here just because we haven't addressed it for so long, and I think Raheem Morris knows that. He's a defensive-minded coach. Like, I think he's going to go for an edge rusher. But there is a chance that we go for a wide receiver and just make a juggernaut offense. Kyle Pitts, Roma Dunze, or Malik Nabers, or possibly somehow Marvin Harrison Jr. or whatever. Getting one of those top 3 receivers, that's a very doable thing. And then you just have Roma Dunze and whatever wide receiver that we select, and Drake London and Kyle Pitts and Bijan Robinson. I mean, it's just loaded offense. So that is appetizing. I won't lie. Even as a Falcons fan who's been so mad throughout the years that we haven't taken edge rusher, that is an appetizing look, like with Kirk Cousins coming in, he's got so many weapons. I think it'd be an unstoppable offense. But then you go into, and then the second round, I think we could grab still a really good edge rusher. This edge rusher class has really impressed me lately. So, I am honestly might be a little bit okay with that. It just depends on who we select in the second round. I'd probably want to trade up and get Adisa Isaac. I'm a huge Adisa Isaac fan. I love the man. I love him. He's. I do not understand how he's not talked about. Chop Robinson gets talked more than Adisa Isaac because Chop Robinson's so athletic. 9. 9. We got Dallas Turner going to the Chicago Bears. He's the first edge off the board. Yeah, I mean, there's been like a lot of, people saying that he should be first edge off the board. I don't agree, but he's very athletic. He has good production. He has good film even. I just don't think he has quite the strength that I look for in edge rushers, like Jared Verse and Leatu Latu do. So that's the only reason why I'm a little bit iffy on him. But other than that, he looks like a great prospect. So I'm not going to, shit on him too much there. 10, Jets go Brock Bowers. This is one that a lot of people are mocking. I think it's a very realistic option. What I don't think people are thinking about enough is that the Bears could select Brock Bowers and once again make a juggernaut offense with Caleb Williams. That would be a cool option, and a lot of people do not mock Brock Bowers 9 to the Chicago Bears, and I think it's very realistic. But Jets grab Brock Bowers. They're trying to capitalize with their time with Aaron Rodgers. It makes sense to me. 11. This is where I know that this is the mock draft gets crazy. Okay, we have something. We're switching it up for you guys. I don't want you guys to see the same things all the time. Okay, so the Chargers, instead of going wide receiver or anything like that, or offensive line, they grab Terrion Arnold here. Okay, I love this. All right. Terrion Arnold, he had a top 30 visit with the Chargers, so that's why I selected Terrion Arnold, but also it is rumored that Terrion Arnold is most teams CB1 in the draft. So he had a top 30 visit with them. He's most teams CB1, so I had him going there. I think he is a good fit with the Chargers. I think that they'll know how to use him. They do need a corner. The J.C. Jackson, is that right? The Patriots corner, I know his first name's J.C. I don't know if it's J.C. Jackson. I think it's J.C. Jackson, but that didn't work out. Grab Terrion Arnold, have, Asante Samuel Jr., Derwin James, all of that. That's a good secondary heading into the season. And you were able to retain both of your pass rushers. They still have Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa. So, Bo Nix going to the Broncos. I'll say it before, I'll say it again. I absolutely love Bo Nix. I do not know why he gets so much hate. I think it's just because there's a lot of very close in talent prospects this year when it comes to quarterback position. So I think Bo Nix just kind of gets skirted to the side because, he didn't win most of the big games and stuff like that, but that's a team thing. I don't know why people put all the wins just on the quarterback. It makes zero sense. It's not a QB stat. Also, I'm noticing right now on my graphic that I forgot to remove a trade. There's just a trade by the follow me. Anyways, Troy Fautanu, one of my biggest risers right now. I think he'd be a great fit for the Raiders. Slide him into right tackle. He doesn't work out there. You can slide him into guard, and I guarantee you that Troy Fautanu will at least work out at guard. So really like that. Saints here, I really, I'm starting to see more where the offensive linemen are going to fit well. And Olu Fashanu seems like a really great fit for the Saints. He's a left tackle. They need a left tackle. Penning doesn't seem like it's working out. Ramczyk, maybe they slide Penning over to right tackle since Ramczyk might not be playing, and then have Fashanu at the left tackle. But I feel a lot more comfortable with Fashanu at left tackle, and I feel like the Saints will like his size and upside there. So they go him. 15, Quinion Mitchell. I've had this, I can't even tell you how many times I've had Quinion Mitchell to the Colts. I'm going to be honest with you. Colts fans, I'm sorry if I'm getting boring, but I just love the fit with Quinion Mitchell. Super athletic. There's not much more to say. He's sticky coverage. Very impressive combine. Very impressive Senior Bowl. Love Quinion Mitchell. 16, Graham Barton. Graham Barton's also kind of rising up for me. I've had this before going to the Seahawks. I like it a lot. They need interior offensive line. They need offensive line, period. A lot of people just kind of act like the offensive line is like, they got their tackles and stuff like that. But, do they? They've done solid, but that offensive line really struggled, especially in crunch time. Edge rushers, interior defensive linemen were getting to Geno Smith very quickly. So yeah, I think Graham Barton would be a really good addition with good size on the interior for the Seattle Seahawks. Moving up, we have our next trade at pick 17. That is the Bills. They're going to trade pick 28 and a 2025 second for the Jaguars 2024 first, pick 17. So I thought about this and I was like, the Jags just like have so many ways that they can go about this. I'm not on the Brian Thomas Jr. to Jags train. I'm not a Brian Thomas Jr. person, really, period. I think he's getting way overrated. He really is just a deep threat. And I'm not, like, it doesn't take away from the fact that I think that he can do much more. He absolutely can do much more, but for the vast majority, he's your deep threat, ball tracking, catch it over the shoulder. Every once in a while, he had a couple of, all you have to do is look up his highlights. Most of them are deep balls. Most of them are goes and deep crossers and stuff like that. And, I mean, that's not as impressive as some of the wide receivers in this class. So I'm not a big Brian Thomas guy, but I have them trading up. They get a 2025 second. That's a really good. They move up, or they move down 11 spots, but a second round pick for in return for that is a really good value for the next year. And the Bills, they have 2 second round picks in 2025, so it makes sense for them as well. And they grab A.D. Mitchell. A.D. Mitchell is my guy, dude. He's by far and away my wide receiver 4. Once we get to 5, 6, 7, 8, those get a little bit fuzzy. I'm wondering where I'm putting people, but A.D. Mitchell reminds me of a George Pickens so much, man. Just great at the catch point, good size, ran in the 4.3s, solid route running. There's not much that I have to worry about with A.D. Mitchell. I feel like he is somebody that is being insanely slept on, and I have no idea why, because his film looks so good, dude. But yeah, so I love that he seems like a true wide receiver 1, someone that you can rely on. That's exactly what the Bills need. I trust him a lot more to be a wide receiver 1 than Brian Thomas Jr. That's for damn sure. And then for the Bengals, I have him going Brian Thomas Jr. Brian Thomas Jr., I think, would fit really well with the Bengals system. This is a Tyler Boyd. This is your really, really good wide receiver 3. And then if he ends up doing as good as people think, then and T. Higgins' contract, he just got tagged this past free agency cycle. If Brian Thomas Jr. just plays lights out, then maybe you can let go of T. Higgins as well. Like, that's something that you can do. So I like that upside vision for the wide receiver room for the Bengals, and the last LSU wide receiver worked out pretty damn good for them. So there's that. And then Latu falls to the Rams. I think Latu, if he falls to the Rams, that is the for sure pick. I thought about the Rams have a lot that they can do. They can go tackle. They could go interior, but they don't need as much. They go tackle, they could go edge, they could go interior defensive line, they can go corner for sure. They have just patches on the corners right now, Darius Williams and Trey White. Those are just patches, dude. They really don't have anybody there that's like solidified for the future. So I like edge, I like corner, I like tackle. I literally could have gone in any direction with this pick. I decided to go Latu. I feel like they're going to go best player available, in my opinion. Latu at the time was the best player available. So 20, I love, whether it is the Steelers or the Eagles or the Chargers, I love the fit of Cooper DeJean for them. I absolutely love it. The Steelers have Dante Jackson from the Panthers trade, Joey Porter Jr., who had a phenomenal rookie season, Minkah Fitzpatrick. They drafted one guy, I forget who did they draft that I really liked from last year's draft. It'll come to me in a second, but he can play safety. He can play. They have Darius Rush as the nickel back. I think Cooper DeJean is a huge upgrade over Darius Rush, and I did like Darius Rush's tape, but Cooper DeJean is a different kind of prospect. And, if Dante Jackson's not playing well, you never know how that works. We've seen it happen before all the time with corners. They get a little bit older, they switch teams, they don't play as well. Cooper DeJean right there next to Joey Porter Jr., lockdown. So 21, I've had this trade, I literally think last mock, but I just absolutely love it, so I'm doing it again. Kansas City Chiefs really are only needing wide receiver and cornerback coming into this year's draft. They really need cornerback more than wide receiver, in my opinion. They trade pick 32 a 2024 third, which is pick 95, and 2024 fifth, and the Dolphins trade pick 21 and 2024 six. So basically, Dolphins are trading a six to move pretty far up in the fifth, and then are literally getting a third, which they don't have this year. They do not have a third round pick. So yeah, it's a good return for a team that doesn't have many picks and lost a lot of talent this year. I'm so pro the Dolphins moving down. They need to. I think it's one of the smartest things that they could possibly do, and I know a lot of Dolphins fans. One of the guys on here, Broshmo, is pro moving down. He says he hopes that they move down. So I'm not the only one on that. They move up. They select Nate Wiggins. He is my number one corner in the draft. I love Nate Wiggins. Great length, tested well. Loved his tape, just sticky coverage. I love specifically his upside. I don't think he's going to be a first year boom. I think it's going to be second year. I think second year he's just going to come out and just be locked down. And I love that. I love that prospect that needs a slight segment to adjust. Jeez, what is with me voice cracking lately? I'm literally 20 years old. What is happening? Anyways, gosh damn it, dude. Okay. Nate Wiggins, I love somebody that, just needs a second to adjust to the NFL and then just comes right out and is just, exactly what you want him to be. So, 22, Jared Verse. Yeah, Eagles have a little bit more of an edge rusher problem than people think. They get rid of Hassan Reddick. They drafted Nolan Smith last year. We don't know how well Nolan Smith will do. I wasn't a big Nolan Smith fan. They signed Bryce Huff, and then they have Josh Sweat, but Josh Sweat is in a contract year, so the Eagles have always been very good about drafting players where they need, where like a contract situation is going to come up. So getting Jared Verse as a Josh Sweat replacement, I mean, honestly, I think it's an upgrade over Josh Sweat. So I love that pick for the Eagles, and it's a shame that Jared Verse has fallen this far because he's a phenomenal prospect. It's the draft, dude. Anything can happen. And then I'm going to shock you guys again. This was from the Vikings trade. Talise Fuaga gets taken to the Chargers as a right tackle. So they get Terrion Arnold and Talise Fuaga. They still not have a dressed wide receiver. I know what y'all are thinking. You're like, what the hell? Be patient. Watch the rest of the mock, okay? So Talise Fuaga, right? They get right tackle. They solidify that offensive line a little bit more. They get Terrion Arnold. They solidify that secondary a little more. I mean, wow. Think about it, okay? This is a deep wide receiver class. So it's like, okay, they could do this. If the Vikings trade up and they somehow land 11 and 23, I almost am more pro this because I think it just builds a better, more well-rounded team. 24, yeah, the Cowboys, I feel like they need more left tackle than right tackle. And I think, dude, the tackle class is kind of confusing me this year. I don't know where I like people, but Amarius Mims, I would say, I think J.C. Latham can only play right tackle. Amarius Mims, I think, has upside at left tackle. So I went that direction. I think that they'll move Tyler Smith back over. I don't know. It's hard. The Cowboys' offensive line is very confusing. I feel like it's going to be way worse than people think it's going to be, and that's dangerous. So there's that. We have J.C. Latham falling to the Packers. I've had this a lot. The Packers, if they don't take offensive line, especially tackle, in the first round, I just think it's a loss. Like, I just think they lost, like, the draft. It is a serious need for them right now. Rasheed Walker might be okay at left tackle, but they need to address this shit. It's bad. So, obvious pick. I know I've had it before. I'm not trying to be boring, but I think that if you're a Packers fan and they draft J.C. Latham at 25, you should be pretty damn happy. So, 26, Darius Robinson. I really like Darius Robinson. I was looking around. I was like, who does Darius Robinson remind me of? I swear he reminds me of someone. And I was like, this guy reminds me of course, I literally lose it right when it's right on the tip of my tongue. I keep on wanting to say Akuda, but Matt Judon. Akuda? What am I saying? Matt Judon, okay? Matt Judon. He reminds me of Matt Judon. They're very similar. They're not the fastest. Darius Robinson's not the fast. I mean, he is a little bit explosive, a little bit, but he's not fast, but very powerful. pretty polished. I like Darius Robinson a lot. And if you're getting Matt Judon onto the Buccaneers, the Buccaneers have a huge need at edge rush, and nobody's talking about it. Nobody's talking about it. They have a huge need there. I've had this several times. I think it makes sense. The Cardinals needs help in the secondary. Go Kool-Aid McKinstry. I'm not going to explain it too much. Get Garrett Williams as your nickel back. They signed Sean Murphy Bunting, so CB2, and then Kool-Aid McKinstry CB1. I know that he just had is planning. I think at the time of me recording this, he's planning a visit with the Cardinals. So I like that. This is the Jaguars trade moving back with the Bills. They select Keon Coleman. Yeah, this is more of my beat when it comes to the wide receiver when we're talking about the Jags. I like the fact that, like I said, it makes me so mad that it seems like they have 3 of the same wide receivers on the roster. They have Christian Kirk, Gabe Davis, and Zay Jones. Zay Jones and Christian Kirk are very similar wide receivers. Christian Kirk's a little bit more polished, a little bit better of a route runner. Zay Jones is more of your burner. But Gabe Davis is just a deep threat. Again, he is extremely overrated. I don't think he deserved that money. And we'll see if I'm right. But I did not like that. They need somebody who is reliable hands, who can go up and get it, and none of those receivers really can do that. They can sometimes. Any wide receiver can sometimes go up and get it. But Keon Coleman, again, looking for a comp for Keon Coleman, I think I came with Chris Carter. They both ran in the 4.6s. Both more of a contested guy, especially a red zone threat. I really like Keon Coleman as a red zone threat. I have that in my notes for him. I think that's more of a reliable go up and get it target for Trevor Lawrence. So I like that a lot, actually. I might be mocking that more often. If the Jaguars trade back, I don't know if I would take him at 17. But 29, just with the way that the boards fall, and Detroit Lions have always been really good at selecting best player available. Getting Byron Murphy right there, that is an upgrade over Marcus Davenport. I've never been a fan of Marcus Davenport. I don't know why he keeps on getting signed even. But Byron Murphy there is an upgrade over, you get Aleem McNeil, Byron Murphy, and Aiden Hutchinson all in the same line, as well as DJ Reader. I mean, it looks good, dude. That is a really, really, really brutal defensive line to be facing, and I love that for the Lions. I think that would be very appetizing to them as well. 30, I've had this before. I love Ladd. I have had Ladd going a lot of different places, but I have had Ladd going to the Ravens before. I really like it. Again, just like Malik Neighbors, that elite separation, that elite route running. He ran into the 4.3s. Ladd McConkey does not get enough recognition. I think he might be my wide receiver 5. I'm pretty sure he's going to be my wide receiver 5. He's way too slept on. So, and then 31, we have our final trade. People are going to be like, what the hell, bro, is a Chargers fan? I am not a Chargers fan. They trade pick 37. This is just to move up 6 spots, guys, okay? Pick 37, they are trading pick 69 and a 2024 7. So the 49ers move back 6 picks. The main needs that they have is offensive line. They can definitely still get that. Then they'll have 2 second-round picks, okay? And then in the third, they move all the way from 94 to 69. What is that, 25 spots? Just to move back 6 from the first to the second. And then they get to sweeten the deal. They get a late 7th. It makes sense for both teams. The Chargers move up, and they need like a prototypical wide receiver 1. And out of the wide receivers available, Troy Franklin, Xavier Worthy, Malachi Corley, those guys, Xavier Legette got the best for him. He's got 6'3". He ran in the 4.3. I think he ran a 4.39, so just right around 4.4. Very fast for that size. He has really underrated hands. You'll watch, especially if you watch the UGA game versus my Bulldogs. He had many great grabs. And I mean, I like, you get Legette, you have Tellez Fuaga, and Terrion Arnold. Tell me this is not one of the craziest drafts you've ever seen, okay? I mean, it would be so cool if the Chargers ended up like this. Tyler Guyton, from the Chiefs trade back with the Dolphins. They grab Tyler Guyton. They need an offensive tackle. They slide him at right tackle. Makes sense to me. They definitely need an offensive line. So, but that is going to be it, guys. Like I said, please help your boy out. I would appreciate it a ton. But y'all stay safe and God bless.